Every author starts with the same dream: publish your book, share your message, make sales. But for most people, the reality hits hard. The book is live and it's invisible. If that's where you are right now, don't worry, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to fix that. So I'm going to go through multiple real listings from our KDP community, break down what Amazon rewards and what it ignores, and how to build a listing on KDP that finally works for you. Alright, so let's get right into this video. And just quickly, in case you're new to this channel, Cleo and I have sold over 240,000 books between our different KDP accounts. And we have a free Facebook group for authors with over 230,000 authors in it. And with our self-publishing Titans tools, we've helped over 300,000 authors publish their books on Amazon. So that's just a quick thing about us, and let's get right into this first book here. So here we have a book that has a bestseller rank of 2 million, which is obviously really high, and obviously the higher it is, the worse it is. And unfortunately not really getting any sales in the last 30 days. So let's figure out all of the reasons and all the missed opportunities so this can be fixed. So we'll start off by looking at the title here, which says Securely Attached by Grace. So for a high content book, this title is totally fine. And the subtitle says A Revolutionary Catholic Guide to Raising Confident Kids, and then Catholic Paths of Healing. This sounds like it's kind of a guidebook. So the one thing that we're definitely missing here in the title is a keyword that is actually being searched for on Amazon. So the title, there's nothing wrong with it. It's clean, to the point. It tells you what it's about, but now we also ideally want to have a keyword in it. Obviously, if we cannot have a keyword in a title or subtitle, then we definitely have to make up for that in your 7 backend keyword slots with keywords that people are searching for. So here when using the Self-Publishing Titans Chrome extension, and in case you're not sure what that is, you can go to the Google Chrome store and just type in Self-Publishing Titans, and it'll be the bottom Chrome extension right here, which replaced the 2 prior ones since the all-in-one Chrome extension. So definitely want to use that because that's where all the updates are going to. And in here you can see what people are searching for. So Catholic prayer book for adults, Catholic study Bible for women. So obviously you can just kind of browse through all of them and type in any other keywords as well, just to see what is best fitting for this book, and then use that in your 7 backend keywords for sure. But in the future, you also want to have that in your subtitle or title ideally, especially if it's a low content, medium content book, or even a high content book like a how-to or guide book. So that would be totally okay. But obviously just keep in mind that if your 7 backend keywords or your description don't have keywords that are searched for on Amazon that are exact match keywords with a low competition, good search volume, then you're going to have a hard time getting organic sales. So now let's look at your cover. So my first impression of the cover is that it's AI generated. And since you're talking about an important topic in religion, I kind of feel like that AI might not be the best kind of look for a cover. And if you don't have the budget to hire somebody on Fiverr for $10 or $20, then I think there's still a better way of implementing a cover design. And if anything, you can find some nice stock images that you can use for your book, or even just use a cross with something religious or something nice. And I think it would already be better than this kind of image here. So that would be my first feedback. And then my second feedback is that there's way too much going on with the different fonts and colors. So this also doesn't look the nicest and most professional. And all of these things will really lead to not getting any clicks and sales. At least that is my prediction based on my experience for many years. So when looking at this, we can see there's one font here at the top, then a different font here. Once again, a different font here. So it's too many different fonts. And then also the colors. Then the white here kind of blends in with the white backgrounds. And then the yellow also doesn't really pop as well as it should or could. And then the text just in general at the top kind of feels a little bit squashed, a little bit overwhelming. And it feels like it's more text than there should be on the top part of the cover. And one thing to also keep in mind is that you are allowed to have your title on the spine, and then you don't have to have all of the same text on the front cover. So sometimes that's a really good way of doing it, and just having the most important text on the front cover and then having all of it on the spine of your cover. So that would be my feedback and suggestion here. Now looking at your reviews, looks like you have some reviews already, which is great. And obviously Amazon is getting more and more competitive. So we definitely want to start having at least a few reviews, and this would be plenty just to help you get a higher click-through rates, get a higher conversion rate, and a little bit more trust by people. So great job for having that. Looking at your book formats, we have a Kindle version with Kindle Unlimited, which is great. I always highly recommend using Kindle Unlimited, which is a good program. Just get more exposure and more people reading your book. You also have an audiobook, which is fantastic, and paperback. And the reason this is really good is because each book type by itself can rank on Amazon as its own product. And this will give you 3 times the chances of having sales compared to just having one book format. So this is a great job for doing that. So now let's look at your description. So your description is really nice and long, which is great. But there are a few things we can do to improve that. And the first thing we notice here is that your bullet points are cut off and you have to click on the read more button. But unfortunately, not every person is going to click on the read more button. And then they have to decide based on the text right here whether or not they're going to buy it. And in most cases, your bullet points are the most important points in your description. So they should be right near the top, right after the first line, so people can always read your bullet points. So that would be one improvement we can make. And then the other thing is that your bullet points are a little bit too long. Ideally, your bullet points are short, and having 2 lines is definitely way too long, and it should never be longer than 1 line. So that's one thing that I would change and improve upon. Then another minor point we can improve upon is making sure that the last bullet point has a little bit of breathing room before the next paragraph, just so your bullet points stand out a little bit more. But other than that, you did good. So let's look at your A+ content. So we have some here, which is good. The first image is okay. This one here, I feel like it's a little bit too much text and also a little bit hard to read. One can read it, but it's not as easy to read as it should be or could be. So I think that could be slightly improved. But other than that, this looks okay. The only thing that I can say that you could have is having some images that show the contents of the book or a quote from the book and not just so much text, because this is kind of a lot of text. So if you can have some lifestyle images of someone holding the book or reading the book, I think that would be a nice improvement. And just having some quotes from it, I think would also be nice. But other than that, this is great. So moving along, let's look at the categories. Catholicism, self-help, childcare, and self-help for Catholics. So childcare sounds a little bit not suitable here, but maybe it is. I would just see what kind of books are in this category, but most likely this one should be changed just to make sure that Amazon does not have the wrong impression about your book, because it's not about childcare itself, it's more about teaching. The other ones are good here, so good job for those 2. And you do have a profile picture and a description, so that's good. So that's my feedback here. Let's go straight to the next one. So here we can see that this book is getting a few sales, so that's great. Let's just figure out what we can do to increase that even more. So we'll start off by looking at the title. So really short, and there's no subtitle, unfortunately. So it's definitely a missed opportunity. But the title says From My Test to Testimony. So overall, the title is nice and clean. But here we could have had a nice subtitle just to complement this book. The good thing is that this is only a Kindle book right now, so you could update that. And then once it's updated, you can also make this a paperback version. And that's one thing I would highly recommend, just because each book format can rank as its own book for its own keywords on Amazon. So the more book types that you have, the better chances you have at getting sales and long-term success. And obviously having a Kindle book would be really easy to also have as a paperback. So hardly any effort involved, but much higher chances of getting extra sales. So that would be one thing that I would recommend. So now just one more thing I want to say on the title. And since we don't have any keywords here, you definitely have to make sure that whatever is in your 7 backing keywords is really, really solid and that people are actually searching for that on Amazon. So you are getting some sales. So I don't know if those are organic sales or if you've been promoting it to friends and family. So if you've been promoting it to friends and family, then I would double check your 7 backing keywords. And if these are all organic sales, then I would still look at your 7 backing keywords just to see if anything could be tweaked or optimized. just for the long run success here. So next, let's look at the cover. So the cover looks quite interesting. I like that we have the text in the middle. This text right here at the bottom, I find slightly hard to read. I would probably change the font to something slightly easier to read, but that would be my preference. I like that we have the angels on the sides and kind of an interesting idea to have the face cut off. So since we are getting some sales, I wouldn't make drastic changes because obviously if you're making sales, there are some things that are being done good enough, and any tweaks that we do make for a book that is getting sales should be done slowly and only one change at a time, just so you can monitor the performance. So you make one change and then you see if it's getting more sales or less sales, or higher click-through rates on ads or less, and just things like that. And if the change is good, then you move on to the next one. And if the change you made turns out to be bad because you're getting less sales or some other metrics are getting worse, then you'd obviously revert that change. And then once you've reverted that, then try the next changes. But you always want to make the changes slowly once you have a book that is getting sales. So here, looking at your description, it's really long, which is great. But the other problem we have here is that your bullet points are fully hidden. So I would definitely change that and move them right to the top here, just so people can read them before clicking read more. That would only improve that. And then the last thing you can do here is just have a simple call to action for someone to buy the book right now. And that would be my suggestion here. Otherwise, let's look at the A+ content. And I don't see any. So in case you didn't do it, I would definitely encourage you to do that. You can have some quotes in the book. You can have some lifestyle images of the book, some more images of yourself. These are just some ideas. Looking at your categories next here, we can see it says Indigenous, Mental Health and Healing ebooks, 90-minute biography and memoir short reads, and 90-minute self-help short reads. So these two are good. I just don't know if this is the best category. So one thing that I would do is see if there's any better ones that are more suitable. But if not, then that's also fine. And then we don't have any reviews. So if you don't know how to get reviews, you can go to selfpublishingtitans.com and check out the advanced reader copy service that we have, or use any other alternative, just whatever suits your needs. But having any reviews is better than having no reviews. So just keep that in mind. So that's my feedback here. In case you're new to self-publishing and you want free resources or free tools or free training, you can just go to selfpublishingtitans.com/free and take full advantage of that. And if you want me to do a book review for you for free, to see what you can do to improve your book, you can go to selfpublishingtitans.com/review, and I would love to help you as well. All right, so that's it for today, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Bye.